Hello.
Hey, Claire. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Good. Thank you. Yeah.
So I've got a juicy word for you today. I
Juicy.
it is.
Good.
Well, I think it's a
I,
juicy behavior.
mm, mm. Behavior. I feel like I should spell it, but I know it could be spelled differently.
We spell it differently, I think.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. I'm going to share this because this is what initially came to mind, and I know it'll go somewhere else. But I used to do work. It was very challenging work, actually, called breakthrough. And one of the bits of it was becoming your behavior, and which is icky. It was icky. I admit it was an icky practice, but it was something I used to do. But it was about becoming your behavior, feeling it, and then stepping behind it. So it was like an experience of realizing that you are not your behavior. That was the first thing that came up. And now let's go into in the three principles perspective. Yeah, you aren't your behavior, of course. How I see behavior is, it's how we think, we can behave a certain way in how we think. So first comes thought, and then comes this feeling, and out of that comes how you behave. So it really is an expression of something that you're experiencing. And here's the thing, we don't often like, no, not often, we don't always like our behavior, you know? So when I get into a blamey, complainy kind of behavior, whether it's only in thought, because sometimes I might only think it, and I'm still behaving it if I'm thinking in my mind, oh, that's Claire. It's we can be it's a behavior expressed through thought. We may not actually say it, but we feel it. We feel it. And actually what we're really feeling is our own thinking. So let me go back here to behavior, because I kind of see that it goes in a line. The thought and the feeling rise together, and then there's behavior, and maybe there's action and result. You've seen all that in coaching stuff too, right? The more what I've seen is that understanding how the mind works and catching the feeling of what we're either enjoying or not enjoying. And I must say, I've really been noticing lately how, in talking about this, that we don't, we more catch what we don't like to feel. And we kind of skim through all the good feeling stuff, and we don't recognize it just because it's not causing a disruption, right? It's not disrupting us. So this whole idea of behavior, it can be caught with this understanding of the mind that it doesn't often get out of the thinking. That has happened less. Example, if there's something happening in the house and I want to complain about it, and I say something in a complaining way or a blamey way, I get a reaction from the other, and it's usually not helpful. My reaction to whatever I was thinking, how I'm behaving, blamey, complaining, is received by them, and it's like, ick, there's conflict. So what I've really discovered here about behavior is that, oh yeah, it's chopped off. Once you catch, it's like, oh, right, I'm feeling like this. If there's something to say, you'll know it. But when it's coming from a place of understanding this idea of thinking and feeling, how it's going to come out is going to be in a helpful way when I'm following that inner guidance rather than, an old pattern of, oh, they left the thing out on the cupboard again. So, yeah, let me stop there for a moment and see what you see about behavior.
Well, definitely people who leave things out on cupboards, Michaela. I mean, seriously. Yeah, my go-to. I think, what do I think? That yeah, like you say, it's a product of, well, it's a product, I think, of a perfectly working human system for all of
Mm,
us, even if the behaviour looks a bit dodgy, or we think, "Oh, why would you do that? Why would they do that? Why are we doing that?" That it's always um, a mission of our system to return us back to calm. So the behavior is always, looking for the way that, the behavior is the action to try and do that, to try and, so we feel an angry feeling. And if it looks like the other person, then to get rid of that feeling, it looks like we've got to kind of vomit it out in some unpleasantry towards that other person. So the system, it's like seeing all behavior as really the perfection of the design, but with the caveat that it's this the misunderstanding of where our feelings are coming from is causing us to do things out there to try and get rid of what we feel in here. Because
yeah.
that in that moment makes perfect sense. And like you say, if you spend more and more time in this conversation, and the more you see it isn't coming from the outside world, the less and less it makes sense to do things in the outside world to feel better. We see more and more that, well, we can feel better anyway. We don't need to actually do anything. That's just, it just sorts itself out, really. We don't need to behave. We don't need to take any action at all. I find myself just doing a lot less of anything really out there to try and make myself feel better. And all of that often is happening really unconsciously. But it is for me, more and more it's seeing that it's just that the one misunderstanding that this body mind's job is to get rid of this, whatever this feeling is that's bubbling up inside us, this energy, that it's our job to sort that out, then
Mm,
leads us down many a very dark rabbit hole. Not only in terms of behaviours out there to other people, physically to ourselves, but this, the entire self-development multi-billion pound industry that says, well, it's your job to sort your feelings out and your thoughts. And so here's all the ways to do that, to change feelings, to change thoughts. And so then we can be engaged in a lot of those kind of behaviors as well, which look healthy in inverted commas, because they are, they're not physically unhealthy, but they are perpetuating a misunderstanding that invariably underpins lots of other unhealthy behaviors. So it's kind of, it's a bit of a vicious cycle. But like you said, I see stuff just changing. My behaviour, I know, is changed. My fiance is in this understanding as well, and his behaviour has definitely changed. He would say that himself, just
mm,
from having a different relationship with the energy, the emotional energy arising in the body. Because there just seems, it just almost is, well, there isn't that much to do out there if it doesn't come from out there. That's like draw a line there, can't you? If it doesn't come out there, why would you try and resolve it by doing something out there? It doesn't make any sense. It's almost like, your engine has got a rattle, and at the traffic lights, you get out and open the car next door's bonnet and start around in there, see if you can fix the problem. It just doesn't make sense to do
Yeah.
that when really the problem is in your vehicle. So you just there's more pausing, there's more slowing down. And it's still, like, for me, it still doesn't mean that sometimes I won't say, actually, darling, can you not leave the thing on the worktop? to go full circle. Is it okay if we kind of find a space for that where we can both agree it goes and gets put away in? You still can say that. You can still say, but you do it in such a different way when you don't think you've got to get rid of something that's fizzing around inside you.
Yeah. 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 That someone else needs to do something so that you can feel better.
Or we do sometimes, it looks like we have to do something to ourselves. I mean, drinking a glass of wine is a great example. Or eating something that might not be the healthiest option.
Right. That kind of took me in a different direction for a moment there. It's interesting to me. If you game, let's explore this for just a moment, because I've caught on something that there is a space, like we talk about out there, but even in our mind is like out there, because when we talk about this inside place, this space within, from where source, creative, God energy comes through us, there's still an outside in that can happen all within our own mind. Like this, I heard myself say that I can blame someone in my mind with my thinking, but it never kind of comes out there. But it still affects the relationships for myself and with the other, because I can't. So even if I'm not saying it out loud, would you stop? Why do you keep, something like that? I don't usually do that, but I was trying to emphasize. If it's in my mind, being energetic beings, we are still expressing it. People will still feel that. Why? Because we're expressing it. We are feeling it. This might be getting out of the realm here of what we're speaking about, but it just became apparent of like how connected we are and how we may, the importance of just catching that for ourselves in our mind, even before it's going out. I'm just seeing that sometimes it's like we might keep our mouth closed and think that that's okay because at least we didn't express it. We did. We expressed it. Our thoughts express. They involve our whole being. We have been feeling it. I just saw that as behavior, which I hadn't really seen it in this way before. If you could see inside my mind, you would understand what I'm talking about. I'm not sure if I expressed it well.
Yeah, I get it, because
Okay.
I used to verbally rant out loud about other people's behavior, but then
Mm,
I still sometimes do it, but it doesn't come out of my mouth, it's just in my head. And I
mm,
think that there's a lot of suffering we're creating for ourselves there, aren't we? Like, not that we're doing it, because there is no us to do anything, but that there is suffering that comes from that. I can be thinking very crossly about somebody, and I'll feel that icky, horrible feeling in my body. And you do then, how you then relate to that person is manifest from that, doesn't it?
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they because they only are created in our, they're an illusion created by us, aren't they? And so if our thoughts about them are icky, the other thing that happens as well, we kind of just see more of that horrible behavior we don't like. You know, I always
Right.
say, if I've got this idea that my fiance is really rubbish at emptying the bins, like, when I go in the kitchen, I will only ever see the bins when they're full. When they're empty and it's all on, he's on top of it, my mind will just not, it won't even let me see that. It will just, confirmation bias will just come in, and there will be no, I'll never see an empty bin. My mind will notice everything else in the kitchen, but never the empty bin, and it'll definitely notice when the bin's full. So then that internal behavior, I guess, as you might call it, is creating this persona of somebody else that then isn't very helpful, really. And that can almost create that internal, I want to say begrudging, that's not quite the right word, but that internal just towards somebody all
Yeah.
the time, that's not really very helpful. And thought is the only thing really that separates us from each other, isn't it? There is nothing, otherwise we wouldn't. Well, I mean, it's helpful because you and I can have a conversation, because there appears to be a Michaela here, there and a Clare here, but that thought is what creates the illusion of separation, and so that's why when we're caught up in it, it feels horrible, because it's suffering is showing us that that we think, well, there's a separate us,
Yeah.
which is just a crazy illusion. So I just
Right.
think thoughts like this weird thing where we're all doing it. That's what unites us and makes us all the same, because we're all thinking. But it's also the thing that separates us, because we're all thinking something different. So it'll be like we're all together, and then we end up spread because of the way we're thinking.
Yes. Yeah.
So that internal ranting contributes to that massively, I think.
Yeah. It does. Mm.
But I love what you shared. That's really been really insightful for me too, to see, just even when it's in my head, I know it's bad for me. I know it feels horrible, you know, and particularly at stupid o'clock in the morning, when I'll wake up and like, oh, it'll start up again because of something that somebody appears to have done that is problematic to me.
Right. Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. You are not your behavior.
And nobody else is their behaviour too. Like, that's
Yeah.
just as important to see, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Mm.
I think even more to explore.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we should come back in a year's time and do all the same subjects again and just see what, we've seen something.
Right?
That would be fun, wouldn't it? We might do that, listeners. Watch this space.
Do.
Definitely. That was so lovely. Thank you.
That was. Thank you.
I will see you.
You betcha.
Bye.
Ciao.